Welcome to Inspire Grace. Today through this session, I would like to discuss about the characteristic features of an outstanding lesson in perspective of differentiated instruction. A teacher plays multiple roles in a classroom. It's an amazing experience to compare the most important components of an outstanding lesson with funny real-life examples. As we all know, a teacher at the very outset begins the class with a starter activity. The starter activity is almost like a serving an appetizer before serving the main course of a delicious dish. The appetizer will stimulate the taste buds before acquiring the new knowledge, information, skills, competences and values. The starter activity requires to hook the topic, and it should initiate receptivity to the topic. It should initiate curiosity. Also, it should initiate a passion towards the learning journey. A starter activity must be very much relevant to the topic. Let the students be proactive and charged with the positive brain messages. A wisely crafted starter activity can have real life connection and the engagement of all students in one way or the other. The starter activity will be ended up with a diagnostic test. A diagnostic test can be compared like a health checkup which is being done before consultation of a doctor at a hospital. Health parameters will be measured well in advance. Almost in the same way, the teacher is taking the role of a nurse over here to check how far the students are knowledgeable about the new topic and what about their strengths and weaknesses with regards to their previous knowledge. For conducting the diagnostic test, teachers can use a digital tool like Kahoot, Google Form, Quizlet, Socrative, etc. can be used, because the digital tools will give the summary of the result. So a quick analysis of the data can be done randomly, simultaneously as well. The lesson plan can be flexible and adaptive. Once the diagnostic test is over, the next turn is sharing the learning objectives and subsequently sharing the success criteria. Here the teacher is taking the role of a picnic facilitator, because the final destination of the trip will be shared with the students with much enthusiasm and curiosity. The purpose, the scope and the focus of the lesson will be very well indicated through the learning objectives sharing. And what is the importance of sharing success criteria? Success criteria are performance indicators that the students should be familiar with the rubrics, the parameters and also the exemplars, so that each student will be taking up the accountability and ownership of learning. When the lesson is in progress, each student will be able to ensure that they are learning according to the learning objective. Learning objective is the endpoint which all the efforts are being focused, wherein the success criteria is like a roadmap. So here the teacher is acting like a GPS provider. A Google map is given. This is the roadmap towards the learning journey. Success criteria can be stated like I will be able to do so and so, I will be able to define so and so, I will be able to understand so and so. So this kind of a terminology and resolutions and affirmations can be taken. Teacher has to facilitate it so that the success of the class will be more objective and more measurable. After sharing the success criteria, the next turn is teacher is supposed to give a brief introduction about the content of the topic. This next feature of a differentiated instructional format is dividing the content into comfortable chunks of materials and manipulating into group activities or scaffoldings. This is just like a teacher is cutting a pizza into digestible sizes and giving to different groups. It's an amazing moment in the class because every student is given a slice of the pizza. So they celebrate. Now the activities are going to be started. So the materials and the resources will be given to the groups, and the group discussion or the group activity preparations will be considered like the preparation for an orchestra. Each student is having an instrument, a violin or a guitar or a harmonium, like different instruments are given to each student. So students are so enthusiastically, so harmoniously preparing the symphony. At the end, they will be ready to present it to the whole class. So next is the presentation of the groups. When the group activity is in progress, teacher has to consider certain things in mind. Mainly at this phase only, the 21st century skills like communication, collaboration, critical thinking and creativity develop. Here the people skills will be nurtured at its level best. Teacher needs to provide a brief overview of what activities are to be performed at the very beginning of the group activity. Explain the purpose of the activities fairly well. Clearly outline expectations for group activities. Teacher needs to share the rules, time limits, and what students should achieve from this. The expectations of the teacher should be very clearly shared. I am listing out the important points related to effective group dynamics. Teacher has to share clear roles, initiate active participation, and also ensure effective communication, collaboration. At times, conflict resolutions also will be required. And ensure that every student is having a contribution. Nobody is marginalized, nobody is sidelined, and some students are dominating the entire group activity. It should not be allowed. Also, teacher required to ensure the inclusivity. Teacher needs to visit each group and needs to ensure the proximity, spending time nearby the students and support them wherever necessary. Also try to accommodate variety sizes in the groups if it is required. Teacher needs to address the differentiation and also meet the learning styles of the students. And if a score sheet is considered and the scores are allocated for according to the performance of the students, it will be highly appreciated. It also will give more weightage to the success of the class. So now the group discussion is over. Next study is the presentation of their findings, because students are now employing the constructivist pedagogy. These days, students are required to be trained to have very powerful learnership. Learnership means the skill of learning. Students should get the ownership of self-reliant learning, so that they will become lifelong learner as well. So let them prepare by themselves. Let them read the content. Let them analyze the data. Let them develop the conclusion and let them present by themselves. The core concept of differentiation is each student according to his ability and each student according to his needs. We have to keep in mind that each student is unique. No two students are alike. So the learning environment which is good for one child may not be good for another child. This is the core of differentiation. So the individual difference should be appreciated fairly well. At the time of presentation of the group activity, if possible, give opportunities to every student to have an exposure in front of all the students. And other students should keenly listen to what they are presenting. They should not be engaged with what they are going to present, because they will be preparing what they want to present. So this time teacher should distribute the eye on every student. Here the teacher is acting like a referee. What a referee does when the play is in progress will be an eye on every player. So in the same way, a teacher is taking the role of a referee in the class. And also the teacher is engaging the role of a coach. What is the role of a coach in the play? Will give actionable feedback then and there according to the need. And also, before the class and after the class, necessary training, necessary coaching will be given, orientation will be given. So in the same way, the teacher also is expected to behave like a referee and also a coach as well. So in order to score high in the lesson demonstration, another most important requirement is engaging an innovative pedagogical method. There are thousands of innovative methods nowadays the teachers engage in the class, like a scientific inquiry, experiential method, project-based method, problem-solving method, flipped classroom method, jigsaw method is there, Piagetian programs method is there. If the teacher is engaging a brand new methodology in the class, so now most of the steps have been covered. Once the group activity is over, the teacher can provide an opportunity, a session, a slot to summarize the lesson. If one or two students can, in collaboration or individually, come on to the dais and summarize the lesson, it will be fantastic. At this point of time, teacher can support the students to get the flow of rendering. So now the plenary session is also over. What is next? The next is the assessment of learning. Three kinds of assessments will be fostered in progression of the class. One is assessment for learning, and another one is assessment as learning, and third one is assessment of learning. The metacognitive thinking is known as assessment as learning. So there must be ample scope for all this. Okay, now at the end of the lesson, the teacher is fostering a test. Here also a digital tool can be used. As I mentioned before, a Google Form, a Kahoot, Plickers, any such a digital tool can be used. When we use the digital tool, the assessment will be very objective and visible, and it will be very transparent. So how many % of students have achieved the learning objectives as learning outcomes? It can be very clearly, very accurately measured. In presenting an outstanding lesson, some more factors we have to consider. One is accommodation of the global connections. It is just like making friendship with the people from all over the world. What a marvelous and hilarious experience is that. The students will develop a wide and broad mental horizon. Another most important factor that we have to consider is quality of the resources. Right from the beginning till the end, the students are engaging with a lot many resources. Any handouts or any other teaching aids the teacher supplies should have the required professional quality. The schools are supposed to provide the required resources uncompromisingly and irresistibly. Because we are engaged in the 21st century students, we cannot compromise. The class will wrap up by providing home assignments. While giving home assignments also, teacher has to consider the differentiation. Diversified home assignments must be given. According to the aptitude, according to the interest, according to the learning style, the students can opt the home assignment. The next most important thing that teachers have to consider is time management. Many a time teachers fail in keeping up the time. Because of some reasons, maybe technical issues or any disruptions or some unexpected questions came from the part of students. Because of so many reasons, the learning engagement may be delayed. At this point of time, the teacher has to have the presence of mind and must be conscious about the time, and some negotiations and flexibility should be made with the lesson plan. And the most important components, the most important factors and content should be brought into the front row, and others can be compromised. Even some of the activities or some of the items can be handed over to the students as homeworks. Or the teacher can abruptly stop the class saying that the time is not sufficient, we will continue the class in the next period. There is no harm in that. So nearly some 15 plus components have been explained in little bit detail. When all these components are put together harmoniously, the outcome will be great, fantastic, and absolutely phenomenal. So may God bless all of us to engage the 21st century students with this kind of perspectives. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much.